This is Garis, Masculist, MGTOW flyers. That is 2 3-page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW, written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. This is flyer number 525, entitled SHyBbers. That's Sexist Hypocritical Bigots. That is, women who think, quote, angry feminism, okay. Angry masculism, not okay. Description. This flyer introduces a new masculist term that expresses masculist contempt and hatred at the awful hypocrisy of feminist sexist bigotry. That is, that it's okay to be angry at men for the ways that men oppress women, but it's not okay for men, for masculists, to be angry at women for the ways that women oppress men. The term is SHyBber, that's SHyBber, that is Sexist Hypocritical Bigot. Masculists can hurl this term at SHyBbers for being SHyBbers. The flyer itself. SHyBbers, Sexist Hypocritical Bigots. That is, women who think, quote, angry feminism, okay. Angry masculism, not okay. By Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. What really pisses masculists off about feminists is their hypocrisy, their attitude that angry feminism is okay for them, that is, fully justified, given the ways that men abuse women, for example, rape, sexual harassment, domestic violence, etc., but that masculists anger at women, given the ways that women abuse men, for example, the decades-lasting man's slavery, their butchery in the divorce courts, their paternity fraud, their marrow, but their rejection of the para, etc., is not okay for them. This utter hypocrisy on the part of feminists only increases the level of contempt that masculists have for them. So not surprisingly, masculists invent labels for such women that they use as terms of abuse to hurl at such women, expressing their contempt and hatred. One such is the term MFB, that's monoconscious, feminazi bigot or bitch. A paradigm case of an MFB is Susan Wojcicki, the Jewish-American CEO of YouTube, who promotes feminist channels and deletes, in capital letters, masculist channels. To masculists and MGTOWs, this makes her the most hated woman in the manosphere, and deservedly so, given her massive hypocrisy and sexism. That is, she promotes feminism, that is, for her, angry feminism is okay, and she demotes masculism. That is, for her, angry masculism is not okay, and is something to be suppressed by feminists. This flyer introduces another masculist abusive term to label such misandrist, male-dumping, feminazi cunts, and that is the term SHyBber. That's capital S, capital H, little y, capital B, little b, er, pronounced SHyBber, that is a sexist, hypocritical bigot. Susan Wojcicki is obviously sexist. She discriminates against men, promoting feminism and demoting masculism, so unquestionably sexist. She's profoundly hypocritical, since she obviously does not accept the idea of, quote, what is good for the goose is good for the gander, since she promotes feminist channels and deletes masculist channels. And she is a bigot, because she remains utterly closed-minded to the idea that gender oppression is a two-way street. Since if she weren't a bigot, no way would she be deleting masculist and MGTOW channels. The term SHyBber slips off the tongue easily, so hopefully we'll catch on. Masculists need such a term to hurl at SHyBbers, so that SHyBbers know that masculists think they are SHyBbers, and hence to be treated with contempt, spat at, and ignored to a slow death, not even pumped and dumped. Masculists tell SHyBbers that, quote, what are you SHyBbers going to do when nearly all men have been masculisted, and given that nearly all SHyBbers are heterosexual, so you are dependent on men for your sex, to have boyfriends? So when these boyfriends become masculisted, and hence bi-conscious, that is, they have their feminist and their masculist consciousnesses raised, they will see your monoconsciousness as bigotry. They will see you as SHyBbers, become disgusted with you for that, and then dump you, millions of you, for your callous attitudes towards the way you women, you SHyBber women, treat men, with your manslavery, your butchery in the divorce courts, your paternity fraud, your profound hypocrisy concerning the masculist push for the para, etc., etc. With nearly all men masculisted, women will be forced to adapt to the new gender political ecology. That is, they will learn, usually the hard way, by being dumped by their bi-conscious boyfriends, that they really need to become bi-conscious themselves so that they do not appear to be a hated SHyBber in the eyes of men, that is, masculisted men, who in time will be nearly all men, as the masculists and MGTOW messages reach nearly all men in the world. Masculists have a real hatred for feminazi hypocrisy and punish such women badly by totally ignoring them, forcing them to rot on the shelf, thus effectively exterminating them, since by being unable to have a relationship with a quality man, they will not be able to find a man who will tolerate their monoconscious bigotry, their belief that gender oppression is a one-way street. A decade or less from now, nearly all men will have become bi-conscious, that is, taught masculist and MGTOW ideas by the masculist and MGTOW movements, by word of mouth, by the media, by the universities, by books, by the internet, etc. As more and more men become bi-conscious, their level of collective male tolerance for monoconscious feminists will really drop away, resulting in many verbally violent clashes on campuses between bi-conscious masculists and monoconscious feminists, as the masculists express their contempt and impatience with the bigotry and hypocrisy of SHyBbers, and verbally lash out against it, using superior male intelligence and greatly superior male verbal aggression, given men's 10 times greater testosterone levels in their blood. Masculists will be saying such things to these SHyBbers as, quote, "Fuck you, you feminazi cunts. You women oppress men far worse than vice versa, with your decades-lasting manslavery of men, your butchery in the divorce courts, your paternity fraud, your hypocritical opposition to the legislation of the para, its paternity rejection right, etc. What are you going to do when nearly all men have been masculisted and you remain heterosexual, dependent on a man for your sex, but no quality masculisted man will go near you, spitting in your face for being a SHyBber, a sexist hypocritical bigot, hated by masculists and severely punished by masculists by forcing you to rot on the shelf, since women like you are utterly repulsive to masculists, who effectively wipe you out by totally ignoring you, not even pumping and dumping you, so your SHyBber genes are removed from the gene pool. If you ever want a quality dick in you again, you had better learn some masculism, you feminazi cunt, and become bi-conscious, or you're going to lead a miserable life, alone, spat at, rejected by nearly all men, except for those men who have the lowest SMVs, that's sexual marketplace value, who are usually fat, short and ugly, who are so desperate to get their dicks in a woman that they will fuck anything, even a SHyBber cunt like you. So learn that women oppress men too, you misandrist, male-dumping, feminazi shit, and become much nicer to men. Learn that gender oppression is a two-way street, so that you lose your feminazi anger at men by having it cancelled by a masculine anger at women for the ways that women oppress men, and in fact worse than vice versa, given that many of women's gender crimes against men last decades, especially women's decades-lasting manslavery, a major war issue for the masculists. So learn some masculism, you feminazi cunt, you misandrous bitch, you MFB, that's monoconscious feminazi bigot, you SHyBber, that's sexist hypocritical bigot. Go back to your manless, loveless, sexless, babyless life and die. Women like you are hated by masculists and severely punished for what you are. Cheers. Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. Author of the book Masculism, Men's Rebellion Against Being Man's Slaves to Women, an e-textbook of 520 plus masculist flyers for men's studies courses, freely downloadable in Microsoft Word format from my website. Ciao.